It was a clear, sunny morning in a peaceful suburban neighborhood where life moved at a gentle pace. Birds chirped softly in the trees, and children's laughter echoed faintly from the nearby park. Max, a proud and loyal German shepherd, was happily trotting alongside his owner, Mr. Jensen, during their usual morning walk. Max's thick coat glistened in the sunlight, and his eyes sparkled with curiosity and excitement. To everyone who knew him, Max was more than just a dog. He was family. The neighborhood was one where everyone knew each other by name. Neighbors waved as Mr. Jensen and Max passed by, exchanging friendly greetings. Max was often seen playing with the local children, patiently allowing them to pet and hug him. He was gentle despite his imposing size, with a heart full of love and loyalty. That morning, Max seemed particularly energetic, his tail wagging faster than usual. As they rounded the corner near a busy street, Max caught sight of a small squirrel, darting across the sidewalk. Without hesitation, he broke free from his leash, sprinting after the tiny creature with joyous abandon. Mr. Jensen called out, "Max, come back!" But the dog's focus was elsewhere. Unbeknownst to both Max and Mr. Jensen, danger was speeding toward them. A large delivery truck, its driver late for his route, was rushing through the neighborhood far faster than the posted speed limit. The truck's tires screeched as it took the corner too sharply, the driver struggling to control the heavy vehicle. In a tragic instant, Max dashed into the truck's path. The inevitable happened. The truck struck Max with a brutal force. The impact echoed through the street like a thunderclap. Max was thrown several feet, landing hard on the rough pavement. His body twitched, and a pained whimper escaped his lips. The driver slammed on the brakes, bringing the truck to a sudden stop. The neighborhood was instantly silent except for the soft whimpering of the injured dog. Neighbors poured out of their houses, faces pale and hearts pounding. Children who had been playing nearby froze in shock. Mr. Jensen sprinted toward Max, his breath coming in ragged gasps, panic gripping his chest. Kneeling beside his beloved companion, he gently stroked Max's head, tears streaming down his face. "Max, please hold on. I'm here. Stay with me, boy," he whispered, voice trembling. Max's eyes fluttered weakly, and though his breathing was shallow and uneven, he recognized the familiar touch of his owner. His usually bright gaze dimmed, but still held a spark of life. Blood stained the sidewalk beneath him, and his leg was bent at an unnatural angle. It was clear he was seriously hurt. The neighbors quickly sprang into action. One called emergency services, while others gathered blankets and towels to keep Max warm. Some comforted Mr. Jensen, who was struggling to remain calm despite the overwhelming fear. As sirens wailed in the distance, time seemed to stretch endlessly. The neighborhood, usually filled with joy and routine, was now gripped by a heavy silence and dread. Max's fate hung in the balance. A small toddler named Lily, Max's owner's granddaughter, was brought outside by her mother. Though she was too young to understand everything, Lily instinctively crawled toward Max, her innocent eyes wide with concern. She reached out a tiny hand and gently touched Max's fur, as if trying to give him strength. Her soft, unspoken love brought a fragile warmth to the cold, tense air. The ambulance arrived and paramedics carefully lifted Max onto a stretcher. Every movement was careful and deliberate, knowing that Max's injuries were severe. Mr. Jensen climbed into the ambulance beside his dog, holding his paw tightly, willing Max to fight. As the ambulance sped away toward the nearest veterinary hospital, the neighborhood remained quiet. Neighbors stood together, exchanging worried looks and silent prayers. Max's story was far from over, but in that moment, everyone shared a deep hope that the brave German shepherd would somehow survive. The ambulance raced through busy streets toward the city's animal emergency hospital. Inside, Max lay on the stretcher, his heavy breaths shallow and labored. His once vibrant eyes were clouded with pain, but there was a faint glimmer of trust as his owner, Mr. Jensen, held his paw firmly. "Hang in there, Max," he whispered over and over, his voice cracking with emotion. At the hospital, the veterinary emergency team was already preparing. Dr. Patel, the lead veterinarian, had been alerted en route and awaited their arrival with a team of nurses and technicians. Max was immediately rushed inside and carefully transferred to the trauma room. The sterile hospital smelled of antiseptic and urgency. Machines beeped softly as the team worked quickly to assess the damage. X-rays revealed the devastating truth. Max had multiple broken bones, including a fractured leg and ribs. Internal bleeding was suspected, but the full extent wouldn't be known until surgery. His condition was critical. "We need to stabilize him first," Dr. Patel said, her voice calm but serious. The team started intravenous fluids and oxygen, carefully monitoring his vitals. Max whimpered weakly but didn't give up. Mr. Jensen stood by the glass partition, his heart in his throat. He felt utterly helpless, but knew that this was the best chance Max had. The bond they shared was unbreakable, and now it was being tested in ways he never imagined. While the medical team worked, word of the accident began spreading. Messages and calls flooded in from neighbors, friends, and even strangers who had heard about Max. People were moved by the story of a loyal dog hit by a truck and left fighting for his life. Some sent prayers, others offered donations for the costly treatment Max would need. Meanwhile, back at the family home, Lily's mother held her close. Though Lily was only 2 years old, her gentle touch on Max's fur in those first moments left a lasting impression. Her innocence and love became a small but powerful source of hope in an otherwise grim situation. Back in the trauma room, Dr. Patel made a difficult decision. Max would need surgery to repair his broken bones and stop internal bleeding, but the risks were high. His heart was weak and the damage severe. The next few hours would be critical. The surgical team prepared Max carefully. Anesthesia was administered slowly, and monitors tracked every heartbeat and breath. Max's pain was immense, but he was surrounded by skilled hands dedicated to saving him. The operating room was tense and quiet, except for the steady hum of machines. Hours passed as surgeons repaired Max's shattered leg and stopped the bleeding inside his body. They stabilized his ribs and carefully stitched wounds. It was delicate work on a creature who had already suffered so much. Outside the OR, Mr. Jensen paced anxiously. Every minute felt like an hour. He thought about all the memories he shared with Max, the early morning walks, the quiet evenings by the fireplace, the way Max always seemed to understand without words. He prayed silently, begging for a miracle. Finally, Dr. Patel emerged. "The surgery went as well as we could hope," she said gently. "Max is stable, but he's not out of the woods yet. We'll keep him in ICU and monitor him closely. It's going to be a long road to recovery." Relief washed over Mr. Jensen, mixed with exhaustion and hope. He thanked the team and sat down beside Max's ICU cage, his voice soft but filled with love. "You're a fighter, boy. We're going to get through this together." As Max lay in the quiet hospital room, his breathing slowly steadied. The pain was still there, but so was a faint will to live. Outside, the world kept turning, but inside that small room, a silent battle was unfolding, between life and death, hope and despair. In the waiting area, strangers who had heard Max's story began sharing messages of support on social media. The baby's touching reaction was captured on video by a neighbor and shared widely, bringing tears and smiles to thousands. Even people far away felt connected to this brave dog and the little girl who showed that sometimes love is the strongest medicine of all. Back at home, the Jensen family was engulfed in a storm of emotions. The once lively household felt hollow and heavy with worry. Max was more than a pet. He was a guardian, a friend, and a constant source of comfort. Now, with him lying in a hospital bed miles away, the family struggled to grasp the reality of the accident. Mr. Jensen's wife, Karen, sat quietly in the living room, her hands trembling as she clutched a worn photograph of Max. Tears streamed silently down her cheeks as she replayed the terrifying moments of that morning over and over. How could this happen? He was so careful, so gentle, she whispered to herself, her voice breaking with grief. Their daughter, Emma, tried to hold back her own tears, focusing instead on calming her little daughter, Lily. The toddler, too, young to understand the full gravity of the situation, sensed the tension and fear. She clung to her mother, her big, innocent eyes wide and searching. Lily's reaction to Max's injury had already become a quiet legend in the family. When she reached out to the injured dog on the roadside, it was as if her small hands were trying to lend strength to her fallen friend. Her gentle touch and soft coos in the hospital's ICU waiting room had moved everyone, doctors, nurses, and family alike. Even strangers who saw the video shared online were touched by the pure love of a child in the face of tragedy. As the hours dragged on, the family struggled to find solace. Karen paced the floor, wringing her hands, while Emma sat with Lily on her lap, trying to explain that Max was sick but would get better. "He's strong," Emma told her daughter, hoping her words would comfort them both. "He's going to fight." But inside, the fear was overwhelming. Max's injuries were severe. The vet's words haunted them. It's going to be a long road. No one knew if Max would wake up from the sedation or if the pain would become too much. The uncertainty was unbearable. That evening, the family gathered for a quiet dinner, the table unusually empty without Max's eager presence waiting for scraps. The silence was thick, broken only by soft sobs and whispered prayers. Each member of the family felt isolated in their grief, yet somehow united by their shared love for the dog who had always been a source of happiness. At one point, Lily suddenly stood up, toddling toward the window, her small hand pressing against the glass. Her face was solemn, as if she was sending a silent message to Max, a plea for him to come home. Emma followed her gently, wiping away tears as she whispered, "He can hear you, sweetie. He knows you love him." Meanwhile, Mr. Jensen remained at the hospital through the night, sitting beside Max's cage. He spoke softly to his loyal companion, telling him stories from their past, reminding him of their bond. "Remember when you saved the neighbor's child from the street?" he murmured. "You're a hero, Max, and heroes don't give up." The vets monitored Max carefully. His breathing was shallow but steady. There were moments when his eyes fluttered open, revealing the spark of recognition that gave hope to everyone around him. Yet the pain was obvious, a constant battle between his instinct to survive and the physical toll of his injuries. As the family waited for news, they were joined by neighbors and friends who brought food, flowers, and messages of support. It was a testament to how deeply Max had touched their lives. Even those who didn't know him well understood the magnitude of the loss they faced. For Lily, the waiting was the hardest part. Too young to comprehend the danger, she expressed her love in simple, pure ways. She brought Max's favorite toys to the hospital, placing them carefully by his cage. She sang soft lullabies she had learned from her mother, hoping her tiny voice would reach his ears. Through the long, anxious night, the family clung to these small signs of hope. Each breath Max took, each flicker of his eyes, was a victory. They prayed he would overcome the darkness, that their beloved dog would return home, whole again. And somewhere in the midst of pain and fear, Lily's innocent love reminded everyone that sometimes it is the smallest hearts that shine the brightest, even in the darkest hours. In the sterile, softly lit intensive care unit of the animal hospital, Max lay barely conscious in his cage. Tubes and monitors surrounded him, their steady beeps the only sounds breaking the tense silence. The once energetic and lively German Shepherd was now fragile and vulnerable, his body battered and broken. Yet, amid the clinical surroundings, a small light of hope flickered, a light sparked by an unlikely source, a toddler named Lily. Lily, barely 2 years old, had been quiet and watchful since arriving at the hospital with her mother. She didn't understand the full gravity of the situation, but something deep inside her young heart sensed the urgency and sorrow around her. Max wasn't just a dog to her, he was a friend, a protector, a family member who had always been gentle and kind. As her mother sat in the waiting area, Lily quietly slipped away. Crawling on unsteady knees, she moved closer to Max's cage. Her small hand reached through the bars, trembling slightly as she touched the rough fur that was still warm despite everything. The room seemed to hold its breath. Hospital staff and family members nearby watched in amazement. The sight of a tiny child reaching out with such innocence and love to a severely injured dog was a rare moment of pure, unspoken connection. Nurses whispered to each other, their faces softening with tears, and even the hardened veterinarian, Dr. Patel, felt her heart tugged by the scene. Lily's touch was gentle and deliberate, as if she knew Max needed comfort more than anything else. She leaned closer, pressing her cheek softly against his fur, her eyes wide and earnest. A quiet hum of a lullaby escaped her lips, a soothing sound that seemed almost magical in its effect. Max's breathing, which had been shallow and erratic, slowed and steadied. His eyes, heavy with pain, fluttered open just enough to catch sight of the little face so close to his own. Though weak, there was a flicker of recognition, a silent promise passing between them. For a brief moment, the sterile hospital room faded away, replaced by the warmth of unconditional love. Mr. Jensen, who had been standing nearby, felt a lump rise in his throat. Watching his granddaughter reach out to Max with such pure affection was a reminder of the unbreakable bond their family shared with the dog. "You're doing great, Max," he whispered, eyes glistening. "You can hear her, can't you?" Word of Lily's gentle visit spread quickly throughout the hospital. Nurses began to look forward to her daily visits, sensing the positive effect she had on Max's fragile spirit. They allowed her to stay by his side a little longer each time, recognizing that her innocent love was a balm to his suffering. Outside the hospital, the story of Lily's reaction began to take on a life of its own. A neighbor who had filmed the moment shared the video on social media, and it quickly went viral. People from all over the world were moved by the sight of a tiny child offering comfort to a critically injured dog. Comments poured in, messages of hope, prayers for Max's recovery, and admiration for the profound purity of a child's love. The family was overwhelmed by the support. Donations came in to help with Max's mounting medical bills, and messages of encouragement filled their inboxes. In a world often filled with harshness, Lily's simple act reminded everyone that hope and healing often come from the smallest gestures. As the days passed, Max's condition slowly improved. His breathing grew steadier, and the swelling in. His limbs began to subside. Dr. Patel noted the changes with cautious optimism, crediting both the medical care and the emotional support Max was receiving. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "the heart can heal the body in ways medicine alone cannot." Lily's visits became a daily ritual. Each time she came, she brought a new toy or a drawing, gifts filled with love and hope. She never left Max's side without a gentle kiss on his head, and in return, Max seemed to gather strength from her presence. The hospital staff often marveled at the bond forming between them. A fragile dog and a tiny child, connected by a simple touch and pure affection, showing that even in the darkest times, love could light the way. And in the quiet moments when the world seemed to pause, Max and Lily reminded everyone that sometimes the strongest medicine isn't found in a syringe or a pill. It's found in a gentle hand reaching out, a child's innocent heart, and the timeless power of love. Days turned into weeks as Max's fight for survival continued. The once vibrant German shepherd who had ruled the neighborhood with his boundless energy was now confined to a small, sterile room in the animal hospital. Yet every day brought signs of hope. Small victories that convinced the Jensen family and the medical team that Max's spirit was unbroken. After his initial surgery, Max faced a grueling and painful recovery process. His broken leg was immobilized in a cast, and his ribs still ached from the trauma. He was weak, barely able to lift his head at first. Each breath was a labor, every movement an effort. The doctors warned the family that complications could arise at any moment. Infection, setbacks, or even permanent damage loomed as constant threats. But Max was a fighter. The hospital staff marveled at his resilience. Despite the pain, Max never lost the gentle calmness that had made him such a beloved companion. Nurses carefully administered medication and gently cleaned his wounds. Physical therapy was introduced slowly, small exercises to help Max regain strength in his injured limbs. Throughout it all, Lily remained by his side. Her visits became the highlight of Max's days. With her soft voice and tiny hands, she brought a spark of life back into his eyes. She didn't fully understand why Max was so weak or why he couldn't run and play anymore, but her love never wavered. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the hospital window, Lily sat beside Max's bed, holding his paw in her small hands. "Come home soon, Max," she whispered, her voice a mixture of hope and sadness. Max responded with a faint wag of his tail, a small but precious sign that he was listening. Back home, the Jensen family worked tirelessly to prepare for Max's eventual return. They cleared space in the living room, setting up a comfortable bed with soft blankets. Emma ordered ramps and special cushions to help Max move safely. Karen researched rehabilitation techniques and dietary plans to support his healing. The house was filled with an air of cautious optimism, a quiet determination to give Max every chance to recover fully. Yet, beneath the hope, there was still fear. The accident had left scars deeper than the physical wounds. Max's confidence had been shaken. His once bold bark was softer, and he flinched at sudden noises. The family knew the emotional healing would be just as challenging as the physical. One evening, Mr. Jensen sat beside Max's hospital bed, gently stroking his head. "You've been through so much, buddy," he said softly. "But you're still here. You're still fighting. We're all here with you." Max's eyes met his owner's, filled with a quiet strength that gave Mr. Jensen renewed hope. It was a reminder that even after trauma, love and patience could rebuild what was broken. Meanwhile, the story of Max's accident and recovery continued to inspire those who had followed it. The video of Lily's touching visit had gone viral, drawing thousands of messages from strangers moved by the courage of a dog and the innocence of a child. Some shared stories of their own pets, while others simply sent prayers and good wishes. For the Jensen family, the outpouring of support was a lifeline. Donations helped cover the mounting veterinary bills, and kind words offered emotional comfort during sleepless nights filled with worry. One particularly memorable moment came when a local pet supply store organized a fundraiser to help Max. Volunteers decorated the shop with balloons and banners, and customers donated food, toys, and money. The event brought the community together in a way no one had expected, united by their love for a dog who had touched so many lives. Despite the progress, recovery was not without setbacks. There were days when Max seemed to lose hope, refusing to eat or lying motionless for hours. The family worried that the pain and trauma were overwhelming him, but on those days, Lily's visits proved invaluable. Her presence seemed to remind Max that he was not alone, that he was loved and cherished beyond measure. Slowly, steadily, Max began to regain his strength. His leg grew stronger and his eyes regained their spark. The day he first stood on his own was a celebration, a moment filled with tears, cheers, and overwhelming gratitude. It was proof that even after tragedy, resilience and love could bring new life. The road ahead was still long and uncertain, but the family faced it together, united by hope and the unbreakable bond with their brave German shepherd. After nearly a month in the hospital, the day finally arrived for Max to return home. The family waited anxiously, preparing to welcome him back with open arms and hearts full of hope. The long, painful ordeal was far from over, but this milestone symbolized the beginning of a new chapter, a chance for healing, love, and recovery within the familiar comfort of home. The veterinary team had done everything they could, stabilizing Max's injuries and helping him regain some strength. His broken leg was still in a cast, but he was no longer tethered to machines or tubes. Though weak and cautious, Max showed a quiet determination that filled the hospital staff with pride. When Mr. Jensen arrived to bring Max home, he was met with a mix of relief and apprehension. The dog he loved so dearly was fragile, but his spirit shone through. Max's tail gave a tentative wag as he recognized the familiar faces and surroundings. The journey home was slow and careful. Max was placed in a soft, padded crate in the back seat of the car. Lily sat beside him, gently stroking his fur and whispering comforting words. "We're almost home, Max. We'll take care of you," she promised. Once home, the Jensen family had created a safe and cozy space for Max in the living room. Plush cushions, blankets, and a low ramp to help him move without strain had been thoughtfully arranged. The house was quiet, allowing Max to rest without disturbance. Though exhausted, Max's eyes scanned the room as if taking in the comfort of home. His ears perked up at the familiar sounds, the creak of the floorboards, the distant hum of the television, and, most importantly, the soft footsteps of his family nearby. Karen brought a bowl of water and some soft food, encouraging Max gently to eat. He nibbled slowly at first, but with steady encouragement, he began to eat more eagerly. It was a small victory, but an important one. Lily stayed close, her tiny hand often resting on Max's head. She didn't understand the complex emotions swirling around her, but her love was instinctive and unwavering. She would sit quietly, humming lullabies and occasionally offering Max one of her favorite toys. The first few days at home were challenging. Max struggled with pain and frustration. The cast on his leg made it difficult to move, and every step was tentative and slow. He flinched when sudden noises startled him, a reminder of the trauma he'd endured. Emma and Mr. Jensen took turns, helping Max move around, supporting him gently as he tried to regain his strength. Physical therapy exercises prescribed by Dr. Patel became part of the daily routine. Each small step forward was celebrated, from standing unassisted to taking a few shaky steps. One evening, as the sun set and bathed the living room in golden light, Max surprised everyone by managing to walk from the couch to the window on his own. The family erupted in cheers and tears of joy. Mr. Jensen scooped Max into a gentle embrace. "You're stronger than we ever imagined," he said, voice thick with emotion. The experience had left a mark on all of them. Max was no longer just a pet. He was a symbol of resilience, hope, and the healing power of love. The neighborhood, too, felt the ripple effect. Neighbors stopped by to check on Max, bringing treats, cards, and well wishes. The local kids, who once played in the yard, now approached with quiet reverence, inspired by Max's bravery. Yet even amid these victories, the family remained vigilant. Max's emotional scars lingered. He was skittish and sometimes withdrawn, afraid of sudden movements or loud sounds. The accident had shaken his trust in the world, and rebuilding that trust would take time. Karen worked closely with a canine behaviorist to help Max overcome his fears. Gentle training sessions focused on positive reinforcement and creating a calm environment. Slowly, Max began to relax, discovering that his home was still a safe place. Lily's presence was a constant comfort, her pure love demonstrated by countless quiet moments, a gentle pat, a whispered promise, continued to nurture Max's healing heart. It was a reminder to everyone that sometimes the smallest gestures could make the biggest difference. As days turned to weeks, Max's strength and spirit grew. He began to explore the yard again, first tentatively, then with more confidence. The long journey ahead was still there, but hope had firmly taken root. The Jensen family had faced one of the hardest battles of their lives and had come through it together. Max's survival and slow return to health was a testament to their unbreakable bond and the remarkable power of love. A love that healed wounds deeper than the eye could see. Max's first tentative steps back into normal life marked a turning point, not only for him, but for the entire Jensen family. The house, once shadowed by fear and uncertainty, began to fill with laughter, warmth, and the promise of healing. Though Max was still far from fully recovered, his spirit seemed to ignite with new life. He greeted every morning with quiet excitement, his tail wagging just a little more each day. The family watched with pride as he slowly relearned how to trust the world again. Lily, as always, was Max's greatest cheerleader. She had grown attached to the idea of Max as her brave protector, and every small victory meant the world to her. When Max managed to chase a butterfly in the garden, stumbling but determined, Lily clapped her hands in delight, her giggles filling the air. "Good job, Max," she would shout, running alongside him with pure joy. Karen had resumed her work, but made sure to carve out time for Max's therapy sessions. She followed every instruction from Dr. Patel meticulously, administering his medications and helping with gentle exercises. The progress was slow but steady, a testament to the patience and care the family poured into Max's recovery. Yet, even as Max's body grew stronger, the emotional scars remained. Max was wary of strangers and loud noises. The accident had shaken his confidence, and his protective instincts heightened. At times, his bark was sharp and anxious, a far cry from the calm and friendly demeanor he once had. Recognizing these lingering fears, the Jensen family sought help from a professional canine trainer. The sessions focused on rebuilding Max's trust through positive reinforcement and consistent loving boundaries. Slowly, Max began to show signs of change. He relaxed in the presence of new people and seemed to find comfort in familiar routines. One afternoon, while working in the backyard, Emma noticed something that made her heart swell. Max, who usually kept close to the family, was standing near the fence, tail wagging as he observed a group of neighborhood children playing. Tentatively, he approached them, sniffing the air, curious but cautious. The children greeted Max with smiles and gentle pats. Seeing Max's growing confidence was a breakthrough, a moment that symbolized the true beginning of his emotional healing. From that day forward, Max's interactions with others became more frequent and less anxious. The neighborhood had rallied around the family from the start, and Max's gradual return to his old self became a source of inspiration for many. His story reminded them all of resilience in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, Lily continued to offer her special kind of love. She had a routine of sitting beside Max every evening, sharing stories she'd overheard at school or made up on the spot. "You're my hero, Max," she told him one night, her voice soft and sure. "You made it through, and now we'll have adventures together." Max responded with a gentle nuzzle, as if acknowledging the bond that had carried him through his darkest days. The family marveled at how the innocence of a child had been the catalyst for so much healing. As the weeks passed, Max's physical therapy shifted from cautious steps to playful runs. His leg, once fragile and broken, grew stronger under the care of the Jensen family and their medical team. Max was beginning to reclaim his life, one joyful moment at a time. The accident, though traumatic, had deepened the family's appreciation for every day spent together. They realized how precious life was, and how love, whether from a child's small hands or a family's unwavering support, could mend even the most broken hearts. On a bright spring afternoon, the Jensen family gathered in their backyard. Max, free from his cast and moving confidently, chased after Lily with the enthusiasm of a dog half his age. Laughter and barks filled the air, a symphony of healing and hope. The long, difficult journey was far from over, but this day marked a new beginning, a testament to resilience, the power of love, and the unbreakable bond between a dog and his family. Max's journey from tragedy to triumph was more than just a story of survival. It was a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the healing bonds between humans and animals. As the weeks turned into months, the German Shepherd, who had once been clinging to life, grew into a symbol of hope for the Jensen family and their entire community. Back in the comfort of his home, Max had reclaimed much of his former self. His coat was shiny again, and his eyes sparkled with the intelligence and warmth that had made him such a beloved companion. Though he sometimes still flinched at sudden noises, those moments became fewer and farther between. Slowly, the invisible scars were fading. The family's commitment to Max's recovery never wavered. Regular visits to the veterinarian continued, along with ongoing physical therapy and training sessions. But more importantly, Max was surrounded by unwavering love. He had become a living reminder that miracles could happen when a community came together, and when love never gave up, Lily remained a constant presence in Max's life. Their bond had deepened beyond words. The little girl who had once gently touched Max's battered body in the hospital now ran alongside him in the garden, their laughter intertwined. She was no longer just a passive visitor, but an active participant in his healing journey. Whether it was reading stories to him, playing fetch, or simply sitting quietly by his side, Lily's love was a healing force in Max's world. The accident had changed the Jensen family in profound ways. It brought them closer together and strengthened their appreciation for life's fragile beauty. They had faced their fears, doubts, and heartbreaks head-on and emerged stronger. Through it all, Max was the heart of their family, a reminder of courage, hope, and unconditional love. Community support continued to pour in, too. Inspired by Max's recovery, the local animal shelter organized awareness campaigns about pet safety, emphasizing the importance of careful supervision and kindness to animals. Max became a sort of mascot for these efforts, his story a beacon, encouraging compassion and responsibility. One crisp morning, Mr. Jensen took Max for a walk through the neighborhood park, a place that had once felt daunting to the dog. But now, Max trotted confidently, tail wagging, greeting neighbors and other dogs with calm friendliness. The park, once a reminder of pain, was now a symbol of renewal. Lily skipped ahead, turning back to wave at Max. "Come on, Max. Let's go!" she called with a bright smile. Max barked happily in response, chasing after her with a joyful energy that warmed everyone who saw them. Later that day, as the family gathered around the dinner table, Karen looked across at Max resting peacefully by her feet. "He's come so far," she whispered, eyes moist with gratitude. "He's not just survived, he's thrived." Emma nodded, adding, "It's amazing what love and patience can do. The road had been long and difficult, but the ending was filled with hope and promise." Max's accident had tested the limits of pain and loss, but it had also revealed the strength that lies within the human heart, and within the hearts of those who love unconditionally. Max's story touched More lives than the family had ever imagined. Strangers from around the world reached out, sharing their own stories of resilience and love. The video of Lily's tender visit continued to inspire millions, a simple yet profound reminder that even in the darkest moments, compassion can shine brightest. As night fell, Lily cuddled next to Max on the couch, her small fingers tracing gentle circles on his fur. "We're going to be okay, Max," she whispered. Max rested his head on her lap, eyes closing contentedly. The journey wasn't over, but together they were ready for whatever lay ahead. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by love and hope, Max's story found its true meaning, a celebration of life's fragile beauty and the unbreakable bonds that give us strength, even when the world feels like it's falling apart.